Hello Myopes. This is Chapter 3 of the Emblem Madness. To recap, Chapter 1 featured Weapon Master and Master Assassin. Chapter 2 featured Quantum Charge and Killing Spree. Chapter 3 now features Lethal Ignition and Impure Rage. The similarity of both Lethal Ignition and Impure Rage is that they both deal adaptive damage, depending on the type of damage your hero deals, physical or magic, and how much extra physical attack or magic power your hero has in his or her stats. Also, this adaptive damage is applied only to a single target, even if you hit 2 or more targets. Lethal Ignition is activated either by using basic attack or by casting any skill. But take note that you need to deal damage strictly to an enemy hero 3 times, and there is a damage requirement. Each time you deal damage, regardless if it's a basic attack or a skill, must deal damage greater than or equal to 7% of the enemy's max HP. Once successful, there will be a burn effect on the enemy hero, with its first tick happening immediately after the third instance of damage, with 1 second interval between ticks, and the third and last tick ends the burn effect's duration. This means Lethal Ignition deals burn damage per second, 3 times for 2 seconds. The first burn tick also makes the talent go on cooldown. If your damage is lower than the required damage, Lethal Ignition's burn effect will not activate even if you deal damage more than 3 times. And if your damage meets the damage requirement, but you deal damage once or twice, the burn effect will not activate as well. Lethal Ignition does not activate on minions and creeps. Instead, it only activates on heroes. Also, it does not give the user any sort of benefits. Impure Rage is activated by casting any skill. Basic attacks do not activate this talent. It does not have any damage requirements, and you just deal damage once. Then the talent deals damage once and goes on cooldown immediately. Impure Rage is the only tier 3 talent that restores mana for heroes that are dependent on mana when it comes to casting skills. Otherwise, it restores HP instead for mana-less heroes, but it deems inferior to other tier 3 talents like Killing Spree, Brave Smite, and Quantum Charge in terms of healing. Impure Rage behaves differently whether or not your hero has mana and is dependent on mana, but still, it gives benefits to the user. It activates on any enemy units such as heroes, minions, and creeps. But none, except Quantum Charge, can be activated on turrets and bases.
With me? To change the world. Let's see who has the... I know who I am.
First I will show you 2 tables, with the first table showing the exact damage, and the second table showing the approximate damage. As you can see, regardless of the level, Lethal Ignition wins the verdict when it comes to adaptive damage. The adaptive damage from Lethal Ignition is dealt 3 times with a 2-second duration, and it is considered as burn effect or damage over time. The adaptive damage from Impure Rage is dealt once and it instantly fades. Now we will put more comparisons for both of them aside from their damage. Lethal Ignition is one of the tier 3 talents that can be activated by both basic attacks and skills, which gives it an edge over Impure Rage, which is only activated by casting skills. Lethal Ignition needs your hero to deal damage 3 times, with a damage requirement each time. Impure Rage just needs you to deal damage once, without any amount of damage required, which gives it an edge over Lethal Ignition. Another advantage of Impure Rage is that it has a shorter cooldown than Lethal Ignition. In fact, between the two, Impure Rage is 3 times more spammable. Lethal Ignition has a 15-second cooldown while Impure Rage only has a 5-second cooldown. I also mentioned in this video earlier that, to activate Impure Rage, you deal damage to any enemy unit, whether a hero, a minion, or a jungle creep. To activate Lethal Ignition, on the other hand, you are limited to dealing damage to an enemy hero. Therefore, Impure Rage takes another advantage. And between Lethal Ignition and Impure Rage gives benefits to the user. However, while I already said that Impure Rage is the only tier 3 talent that restores mana, it is arguably the weakest tier 3 talent in terms of restoring HP. Impure Rage only beats Quantum Charge if your hero has more than 18,000 HP. Who among the heroes has that super high amount of HP? The recommended heroes that can use Lethal Ignition are burst type heroes. On the other hand, the recommended heroes that can use Impure Rage are mana reliant heroes with spammable skills. Between the two, Lethal Ignition is by far the greater tier 3 talent in terms of adaptive damage through its burn effect, and various ways to activate it. Impure Rage, on the other hand, is easier to activate in spite of it being limited to casting any skill to activate it. Impure Rage, in spite of its lower adaptive damage, gives benefits to the user and is a more spammable tier 3 talent. So, Myopes, I need your concrete opinion. Which between these 2 tier 3 talents has a greater impact? Lethal Ignition or Impure Rage? Let me know in the comments section because I want to hear your opinions. That's all for this video, thank you for watching. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And as always, I care for you.